HermitCraft's lore has always been very in your face. Moon, big, a civil war, a giant floating mushroom island. It's hard to miss. More importantly though, it's always been very clearly separated from the actual content of the season. Sure, Mumbo can build a shrine to the moon, but the story of the moon itself doesn't really have any implications on his mega base, his shops, or anything similar. Until now. As of writing this video, Grian just released his 9th episode of HermitCraft Season 9, and at first, everything seems to be going as normal. As the video progresses, however, weird things start happening, and it all starts with the sponsor segment. Grian is doing a bit where Scar, or as his name on the cover of the book suggests, GTW Scar, great pen name by the way, is the narrator of an audiobook titled Landscaping Your Mind, with each chapter telling you quite literally,
it basically plays audio and tells you exactly what to do with your life.
Okay, that could just be for a bit a funny reference to how Scar landscapes things. No matter, let's keep moving forward. The second bit of weirdness, however, comes in the form of Mumbo. Mumbo, who has just joined the HermitCraft server again after a well-deserved month-long break, has two main things about him that stick out as odd, if not downright sus. First, he's no longer playing HermitCraft on his main account, the one with the username Mumbo Jumbo, and is instead on what used to be his camera account, which just has the username Mumbo. We'll get back to that in a second, because the symbolism is pretty crazy, but this second thing is even more interesting. You see, for a while in Season 8, Mumbo did this bit where he started to take the saying, "you are what you eat," a bit too seriously. He ate nothing but potatoes and became a potato hybrid of himself. He switched over to carrots and suddenly he was bright orange. Ate a pork chop and turned into a pig. And finally, he consumed Grian's soul. At first, Mumbo thought this just reset him back to normal. Consuming a human soul had made him human again. But this wasn't the case. He had, in fact, become a tad more like Grian, and to reflect this, his skin had one very distinct change. It had Grian's signature waffle on the back. Coming back to HermitCraft Season 9, Mumbo's Minecraft character now has this same skin, the one where he's part Grian, and it's not by mistake either. A quick look at Mumbo's name MC page shows that he had his normal skin on for a while before this, but then switched to this skin deliberately. Okay, this is starting to get a bit weird. Let's go back to Grian then and talk about the elephant in the room. From the start of this season, Grian has been building structures and buildings with a story in mind, and he's even told us that there's a story he wants to tell with these builds. It started with what he calls the Entity, a boulder that contains a heart of the sea that Grian says is alive. It functions as a shop and gradually grows and sprouts extra additions to itself as more items are sold in the shop, almost drawing from that power. Then, Grian built the Rift, a glowing purple portal of sorts that I think he described best himself.
It's mysterious, it's ominous, and who knows what's going to come out of it.
But hold on a second, this isn't just your ordinary spawn hundreds of demonic beings portal. No, there's something more here, something that I actually saw first on Reddit. Take a closer look at this still from the video. See anything yet? Okay, let me zoom a bit and up the contrast so you can see it clearer. There, in the middle of this self-proclaimed portal, there's a Mumbo mustache.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Okay, there's more though, because this mustache seemingly disappeared later. Not in the next episode, as it was just a funny gag for a few episodes, but in the one after that, the episode in which the owner of that mustache finally joined the server again. Interesting, but there's more to be brought up here. You see, Grian's pretty well versed in his time lapses, and over the years I've been watching his videos, there's only one major problem, or mistake rather, that I can remember him making. That mistake is pretty trivial. He forgets to turn the chat off so the hermit's chatting while he builds can cover up a part of the screen. Nothing crazy, right? Then, however, consider how much of a coincidence it is that for the first time in literally years, that Grian forgets to start recording his replay for a build. That build is another portal above his massive mega base of a rock, a mega base which has similar properties to the Entity, which he himself has said is powered by the Rift. It's definitely not concrete enough to be evidence, it could literally just be him making a mistake, but it's interesting to say the least. That, though, brings us to the biggest bit of evidence we have, what prompted me to make this video and start reading way too far into innocuous things like forgetting to press record. I'll play the clip in full here because it's weird.
All there is left to say is thank you very much. No, I know what's gonna happen. I didn't die. Now that's weird. I guess I'll see you. That's really taken me by surprise. I thought I was gonna die. Well, I'll see you guys in the next episode. What just happened to me? Ah!
Landscaping your mind, Chapter 1. You are sitting in a field, surrounded by grass blades, ebbing and flowing through the gusts of your imagination. Each of those blades represent a past life, memories, desires, dreams, and past loves. By plucking one, you shall reveal.
Okay, what? First we have Grian thinking that he was about to die and then somehow being saved by the rift. Then he gets blindness and the screen goes black, which I think is a way to simulate blacking out or fainting. And then we go back to Scar's audiobook, Landscaping Your Mind. Let's hop into my theory then, shall we? This is what I think is happening, and it all starts with what Scar says. He talks about being in a field surrounded by grass, with each blade representing a past life. Almost like Grian has access to hundreds, if not thousands, of different versions of himself, with Scar encouraging him to landscape his mind, to find the best blades of grass, the best lives, and prune out the worst. What's giving Grian this power, however, is the entity, the first thing he built on the server, which, if you'll remember, takes the best parts of what's inside it and uses them to grow. Grian built the rift in actuality, but I think story-wise, the entity created the rift to allow Grian to travel between not just worlds, but realities. The entity created the rift, and every time Grian shifts realities, it has an opportunity to take something from there as well. Hence the huge rock it has in preparation for all the shifting it's going to do, built directly above the rift, which Grian again literally described as powering the area around his base. The rift had a Mumbo face in it because the first time Grian used it, he was going to try and get a Mumbo from a different reality to come back to ours. Hence the mustache it had up until Mumbo joined back, at which point Grian no longer needed that to work. Scar's audiobook is what's keeping Grian sane as he travels between realities. Ask open-ended questions to try and gather information about the reality you're in. Keep bouncing. I mean, this kind of sounds like keep moving. Keep bouncing between realities and don't get yourself stuck or attached to ones that aren't yours. Chapter 2's message is a little more vague, but I think what it's implying is that the actual world, the earth, the structures, that kind of thing, are what link Grian back to his reality, our reality. The myths, or in this case, the rift, help link Grian back to where he came from. That's absolutely a stretch, but let's keep moving. Grian, while reality hopping to find a Mumbo, stumbled across an alternate reality in which the moon never crashed into HermitCraft Season 8. This means that Grian and Mumbo's interaction with the soul thing was never reset, as Doc and Renbob took the hermits out of the simulation that was HermitCraft Season 8. If you're a bit confused here, don't worry, it's not too important, but essentially the moon not crashing into Season 8 meant that Mumbo kept that little bit of Grian's soul, and that soul link led to the Mumbo from a different planet following Grian back through the rift. This also brings us back to what I mentioned earlier. Remember how Mumbo's new username doesn't have the Jumbo anymore? Well, back when Mumbo's channel actually started in the real world, it was actually run by two people, and crucially, he was the Jumbo half of Mumbo Jumbo. Jumbo as in the very part that was lost that he no longer has. Why? Because he isn't fully himself. Because, in reality, there is a part of Grian still inside him. I don't think it's a stretch at all to assume that season hopping is what Grian is doing through the rift, especially since we know that the megabase, Dwayne if you will, is taking things from the places Grian has traveled to, and if we look at Grian's base, the inspiration feels almost obvious. I didn't see it until finding this Reddit post, but the dome, the variation on the roof, the cross that looks almost exactly like the Architect's logo from Season 6, I find it hard to believe that that wasn't intentional. I mean, look at the legs of the entity. If this is based off a bee, why does it share a build palette with the octagon from last season, a build palette commonality that Grian himself pointed out? Why isn't it yellow and black? Without the myths, the rift, whatever was keeping Grian stable, perhaps the audiobook, the other realities Mumbo, let's call him Mumbo Prime, is completely prone to the effect of literally shifting realities, hence the switch in names. It would also explain some other things that have been going on the server. Perhaps the side effects of the reality bending energy of the entity and the rift is the reason for things like Impulse finding a random battle axe near where he's planning to make a base, and then turning into a dwarf, or B-Dubs finding a huge basement under his base with a magical seed for a tree of whimsy. Of course, these hermits have made these themselves off camera for the sake of the story, but they have very interesting implications given Grian's lore. And I think this is super speculation by the way, that there are a few possible reasons that Grian didn't die at the end of his episode. Perhaps the energy of all the past lives that emanates from the rift managed to keep Grian alive. Or maybe the fact that Mumbo Prime is on the server, complete with a small amount of Grian's soul. Perhaps Mumbo Prime acted like one of the Horcruxes from Harry Potter, keeping Grian an inch from death when he should be completely gone. I mean, Grian did literally build Diagon Alley in Season 8. It might, however, just be Grian's powers starting to show their effects even more. Because if you listen to what he's saying while he's falling again, he says, I know what's going to happen here. Not screaming, not trying to boat clutch or MLG water, accepting his fate, saying that he knows what's going to happen, almost as if he saw an alternate reality in which he died. Okay, but what next? It's really hard to say for sure. The nature of HermitCraft is that actual interactions feed into lore, which feed back into actual interactions, creating a truly unpredictable story loop unless it's planned out ahead of time. However, I think the whole vault stealing challenge that Grian and Mumbo Prime have going on right now is the way forward story-wise. Somehow, Grian is going to break into Mumbo Prime's vault and in the process of stealing his riches, steal back the part of his soul that Mumbo Prime has inside of him. The energy from that literal soul transfer creates a sort of shockwave, opening up the rift even more, resetting the reality we're in, sending Mumbo Prime back and replacing him with our normal Mumbo. The newly widened rift, however, will continue to power the surroundings, causing more and more chaos around the server as it brings in inspirations and storylines from other realities, and that sounds insanely fun to watch. If you're a HermitCraft enjoyer, you might enjoy this last life video, or you might have fun learning how a laugh made one teenager downright famous. Subscribe!